Getting wood that's dead, that's been sitting on the ground, you're gonna have to wait to dry it out before you can actually burn it. And it'll just be a futile effort beforehand. But stuff like this, or standing dead wood, right here, this branch, I wouldn't want anything from here back toward the ground because moisture might have soaked into it. But this it's hanging over, hasn't been sitting anything to gather moisture. This stuff should burn pretty good. I'll provide us some of the small stuff. We'll be able to work up a little bit. We'll get some more. This tree's all split. It's like most of the work is already done for me. So you see this, generally if it bends, it's not ready for a fire. If it snaps, you're good. It's like just before the stage of being rotten. Like it's not, and it all feels mostly dry. So these are already great sized pieces for getting a fire going or to maintain one. So I'm gonna grab these ones right here. Come over this way. All right, here's a good example. See this right here? This is what you don't want. It's all spongy like that. That stuff's not gonna burn worth shit. But this right here, where you got this gap all through there, this thing has been sitting here drying out for God knows how many years.
Is that, okay, just quick. Yeah. Is that spongy stuff good when it's dry?
I was actually curious about that. I don't know.
Well,
maybe it might catch, maybe it might catch a spark if it is dry. And I'll put it in the comments if, you know, if that works or not. We might try it. So yeah, keep an eye out for stuff like this, because like I said, most of the work is already done. Be an easy way to get a fire going when you got wet conditions everywhere else, and you can't just pick sticks up off the ground. Stuff like this, and sorry for the noise, my neighbor is having to do some cleanup on his property. Unfortunately, his mom and dad's house caught fire a couple weeks ago, but they're all fine. Everybody was safe. Nobody was hurt. So insurance will take care of the rest. Anyhow, grass like this. And, you know, these are old grass stalks from last year. They're split like that. They're really good and dry. That's good stuff to get fire going, tender. There's a bunch of that around, but I want the stuff that's off the ground that I know is going to be dry. If you look out through here, a ton of these stalks are hollow, or they got this little spongy stuff in them, and they're just weed shoots. You go through and pick those. Come with me. Stuff like these right here, they just break off. It's dry, and it's got that little spongy stuff inside of it there. This stuff is good for getting fires going between your tinder and your sticks. And this stuff burns really good. And the cool thing is when you find it, usually you can find a lot of it. So it burns up really fast, burns up really easy. You don't need any tools to harvest it. Just grab it, and then there's this end right here that'll be wet. That's dark, you can see that right there. Just take and come up a few inches, break that off. You don't need it. We got a collection of this down there by the fire pit, and we'll show you guys how we get this going with just a ferro rod. And when most of the material around you is wet. Big thing. When you think you got enough, get more. Good. Try and get a fire lit. The amateur move to do is set this down, take out your matches, your lighter, your ferro rod, light this, and then hurry up and try to break everything down to where it'll fit, or have shit laying over. Have some stuff like laying in the snow next to where you're going to be having a fire at. You can screw yourself that way. Process all your stuff down to the size you're going to need before you light your tinder up. Otherwise, you'll probably just waste it. Some of your stuff like this that's easy to get, or leaves, or something that's semi-dry, Because see my surface right here? I'm kicking the snow out of the way, but the ground is thawing out. It's all wet. You don't want to be putting your tinder right on that. So we're going to kind of make a little bed to set some of this on, just to keep our tinder and stuff off the ground. I'm doing it out of little sticks here and little chunks of these weeds, so that eventually they'll burn too. I'm processing some stuff down. I'm not going to cheat and use like my splitting stump over there, but like this right here, you can find laid over logs in the woods, and when you're trying to split down your dry stuff, if you can keep it off the ground when you're doing it and not mash one end down into the mud too much, that's good. Finley, get out of here. Also it makes splitting a lot easier. Now, if you have a saw, then you can just use your saw. But if all you have is a hatchet like this, it's a lot easier to split this with a hard surface underneath of it. But you also don't want to use it on a rock, because if you come through and then you ding the crap out of your blade, anybody who's ever used one will tell you it's a lot harder to split anything up with a dull axe or a dull hatchet than it is one that is sharp or has a workable edge. Something to keep in mind. You don't want these pieces to be any bigger than your fire is, because then you're just kind of wasted. So I want to chop them down small into like 1 foot sections if I can. What's up? So even on these stalks like this, all this little stuff that's on the side, that's going to be going on pretty early on in your fire, because that stuff right there takes off real easy. And you have separate piles. This is what you do. You got to break everything down, process it before you get your first spark going. I got a pile here of like really fine stuff. It's all pencil sized or less. The stuff over here, about as wide as your fingers, one or whatever, up to like size of your thumb. Then we get over here into actual like sticks, and these ones are, we got some that are skinny in there, some of the stuff that's really good and dried out, it's a little bit thicker. All right, now we got a little bit thicker stuff. Everything here is about the size of my thumb or a little bigger. And right here we have those chunks that we were cutting. And these right here are what's going to sit there and burn for a little while. Then after that, you go up to some better sized logs. Like maybe what the axe is in right there, the hatchet. And I've always been curious about it. I want to see if this like foam, this spongy stuff here, I don't know what to call it, inside of these weeds will take a spark from a ferro rod. Actually, matter of fact, before we go on, let's try that out. Hoping, I'm not sure what plant, but I'm hoping I can get some spark off that and get something going. It wanted to, and then it just went out. There we go. Yeah, it took a second. There we go. You don't have to have the best tools or the perfect conditions. Using $10 saw and a $10 hatchet is what I did with a little bit of common sense to get all this stuff done. So regardless of how expensive your gear is or how cheap it is, get out there and find out if it works. Find something to get a fire going, even in the winter, even when most stuff around you is wet and cold. So just know where to look and go out and try it out a couple times. Be more prepared. No excuses. Leave a like, subscribe. Go check out Miss Nature Prepper. She's been kind enough to do the filming for me today. And check out Mark Midlife Misadventures. I'll have a link in the description for my Amazon. If you guys want to help me out, if you don't buy what the link is for, just going there off my link and doing the shopping you're going to do anyway, help support the channel. All right, guys. Have a good day.